Hey, what's up, AP students? How you doing today? This is Mr. Neely again with Grammar Lesson E. Aren't you so blessed to get to listen to Grammar Lesson E and watch Grammar Lesson E today? All right. Let's go ahead and actually start with defining some of these terms. All right. The reason we define these terms first before we kind of get into any exercises is because we have to have some sort of common language so that we can understand each other, right? That seems basic, but it's true, right? In order to communicate, we have to have a common language that is understood. So I would take the time to understand um, these words that we give you in these grammar lessons. So let's take a look at some of these definitions. Again, if you want to write them down, sometimes writing down things for me helps me remember it, right? If you want to write them down, that's great. Remember, these lessons aren't going anywhere, so if you need a refresher, you can always come back and watch Grammar Lesson E again. Um, for educational purpose or just for entertainment purposes. I know how entertaining these videos can be, super entertaining sometimes. So maybe you just want to come back and, pop some popcorn, you watch Grammar Lesson E, maybe get a group together, a little showing, put it on the big screen projector at your home in your personal movie theater. I mean, hey, sounds good to me. Just invite me over so I can watch myself talk. That'd be great. All right. But seriously, let's get into Grammar Lesson E. We're going to start with phrases today. All right. So a phrase is just a simple word grouping, right? A simple word grouping. Don't get confused by a phrase. It's not a complicated word. It's just a simple word grouping. The phrase that you're most familiar with, that you've probably heard about before in prior English classes, is a prepositional phrase. A prepositional phrase, remember, starts with one of those words that could come before the log, right? In the log, for the log, into the log, over the log, right? Uh, those words, prepositional phrases. But you could also have noun phrases, verb phrases, appositive phrases, verbal phrases, absolute phrases. Anything that needs something else to attach to is a phrase, right? They can't do anything alone. They can't exist alone. Phrases need to attach to something. For example, maybe they attach to an independent clause. So first off, what is a clause? You're going to hear this word. It's not a Santa Claus. It's just a grammatical clause, right? It's like a phrase, right? So it's a grouping of words, but it normally goes wider and deeper. How so? Well, it contains a subject and a verb. Contains a subject and a verb. All clauses contain a subject and a verb. Independent, and we'll talk about dependent clauses later, but they contain a subject and a verb. And an independent clause can stand alone as a sentence, but usually find something else to cling on to, like a phrase or a dependent clause, which again we'll talk about in a later lesson. But think about it like this: independent clause, independent, right? If you're an independent person, you are willing or you are able to support yourself, right? You don't need anybody else to depend on. You are independent. Same thing with an independent clause. It doesn't need anything else. It could be a sentence by itself. In fact, if an independent clause does make a sentence, it becomes a simple sentence. Now, a simple sentence has a subject, a verb, and always expresses a complete thought, right? It doesn't mean that it's not complicated. We're going to talk about other types of sentences: compound, complex, complex sentences. A simple sentence doesn't necessarily imply, oh, it's basic, right? Like that basic white girl. No, it just means it has a subject and a verb that we can identify, right? Nothing else is attached to it. It's got a subject and verb and usually follows one of a couple of patterns, right? There's not too many varieties of simple sentences. To practice this, we're going to kind of go back a little bit and look at subjects and predicates in simple sentences. Take a look at this pyramid first, though. Take a look at this pyramid. So again, last unit, grammar unit, we started with words, right? We started with words, and now we're moving into phrases and clauses and sentences. Notice as this pyramid goes up, we have kind of the things that make up our writing, that we think of that makes up our writing. I might even put a fence around this entire thing and say a paragraph, right? So sentences, we combine sentences then to make a paragraph, okay? Let's take a look at some of these sentences. These are about Roxanne, Miss Van Adder's dog, right? So we want to identify the subjects and predicates in the following sentences. I'm going to pause the video for a second myself, and I want you to do the same. We'll come back in just a minute and talk about the subjects and predicates in the sentence. All right, I hope you had a chance to take a look at these sentences, the subjects and the predicates. If not, again, it's okay to pause the video, take a look at it. All right. First sentence, Roxanne, come back inside the house. There's Roxanne, right? Roxanne, come back inside the house. Roxanne is our subject. Come back inside the house, that entire phrase there is our predicate. Do you want to go for a walk, Roxanne? What's our subject there? You. Yep. And also Roxanne, right? You is just the pronoun for, what's the term? Antecedent, yeah. Do you want to go for a walk, Roxanne? Want to go for a walk is our predicate, okay? I have the best dog. What's our subject? I, yes. Won't have the best dog, predicate, right? Notice, remember, predicates again start with that verb, have, want, come back, okay? I would feel so sad if Roxanne ran away from home. This one's kind of a trick question because we're actually getting into something else called a complex sentence. So this sentence actually has two subjects and two verbs. I would feel, I subject would feel was our verb. So sad if Roxanne, again subject, ran away from home would be our second predicate. So I would feel so sad if Roxanne, subject, ran away from home, predicate. All right? Or, you know, maybe next class we'll give you some sentences like this, which is not a simple sentence, but we'll ask you to find the core subject and the core verb. Right? What is this sentence really saying if we break it down? Mr. Neely, the weird teacher who does these grammar videos, likes to talk about grammar, that annoying part of AP language, the classes my grandma forced me to take because she said it would look good on my college resume, which I really don't want to think about right now because I'm more interested in Snapchatting, I guess that's a verb now, my uber cool selfies and putting them on my story. Hashtag too blessed to stress, two misused words. We'll talk about that in another lesson, right? So my question is, what is the subject and what is the verb of this sentence, right? The simple subject and simple verb. Take a look. If you said Mr. Neely is our subject, you would be correct. And remember, what does Mr. Neely do? He likes, right? Mr. Neely likes. Everything else is dependent clauses, phrases that connect to that simple sentence. Mr. Neely likes, right? Now, likes is a transitive verb, right? So we need to add something to that. So it would be Mr. Neely likes to talk. Mr. Neely likes to talk. All right? Make sense? Lastly, you may be asked just to write 3 simple sentences about any animal or any other subject, circling every subject and underlining every predicate. Now, why is this important? Why should you be able to do this? Well, one of the reasons you need to be able to do this is so that you can see the effects of a simple sentence, right? What's the purpose? Why does an author decide to use a simple sentence versus a complex or compound sentence, right? What's the effect of a simple declarative sentence? That's what we'll be practicing, all right? That's what we'll be talking about in class, all right? So there's grammar lesson E. Come in with your questions and get ready to work. Have a good one.